Hey guys, this is Couch in the Mind, clearing the mind one couch at a time. And today I've been joined by fellow co-host Michael Codd and special guest, former Villa School captain and Melbourne Storm child prodigy, Christian Welch, or formerly known as Welshie. How are we?
Good, fellas. Thanks for having me on. It's an important thing you guys are doing, and happy to be here.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. But the topic we'll be going over today is expectations, and I think you can really relate to that, Welshie, in that if you're not performing at a certain standard that fans or journalists or anyone in general would want you to perform at, it would obviously play such a negative part on your mental health, especially. And I would love at some point today if you could delve into that and maybe share how it has affected you mentally and certain things you've implemented that have helped you overcome the mental struggle of professional sport.
Yeah, it's I guess it's comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Sadly, there is a lot of online trolling and hate. We're pretty lucky at the Storm because we win a fair few games, but certainly seen plenty of nasty messages coming through, particularly our Indigenous guys. Some real nasty, racist messages, and I guess that's sadly part of our game, and particularly the racist stuff's really sad to see. And you see the two documentaries with Adam Goods, and
100%. It's not necessary.
I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of improvement in how we, I suppose, treat people, and with expectations and online. And I think the more you talk about it, the more stuff like the Adam Goods documentary, the better it is for everyone.
Sorry, I might take it a step back a bit. I just wanted to ask, what actually got you into professional rugby league? How did you start your career?
Yeah, so I kind of played all sports at Villa. I played cricket, touch footy, rugby, did the athletics to get the free shirt. So I just loved all sports, bit of basketball. So was lucky to be part of in grade 11. Yeah, the first 15 in grade 11 and the grade above us were a phenomenal age group, and we won the first 15 premiership and got a little bit of attention out of that.
Awesome.
And I had a real passion to try and make it as a professional rugby union player, and went to the ARC GPS games at Ballymore and was really keen on rugby union, but didn't really get much traction. And the day it was after I didn't even make ARC 1, I made ARC 2. And I was walking to my car with my dad, and this guy approached us as we were walking out of the stadium, and he was a scout for the Brisbane Broncos, and he said, look, we think you could be a reasonable rugby league player, and we'd like to bring you in. And so I originally did a couple of sessions at the Bronx with some of their scholarship non-contracted kids, so it wasn't training that often, but and then I made the switch to East Tigers Rugby League, and I was a centre in rugby union, and then transitioned to a front. The scout from the Broncos actually in the Storm, and a bit of an experiment of a bit of leg speed, and so it really worked really well. Just sliding doors moments, and I'm not the most talented player, but I think the best thing about rugby league is there's always a place in the squad for the guy who works really hard for his teammates, and he's tough. And
that shows, especially. Haven't you had 2 ACL recos?
Yeah, so I've it's been a bit tough. I've done both knees, so I've had 9 to 12 months out both times, so it's been pretty tough. And you look at my first grade career, I had come down for 2 years in the under 20s, but then debuted in 15, and then 16 played in the grand final, and we lost, and then in 2017 we're on top of the ladder, and looking really good to kind of make amends for the last year losing to Cronulla, and then I did my knee, and obviously watching from the grandstand the team go on to win the premiership. That was pretty tough mentally on me, and then in 18 come back and played well, and we made the grand final, and then we lost that to the Roosters. So, and then in 19 I did my right ACL, my right knee, and so it's I've had a lot of good times, but also had some pretty low times in the last kind of 4 years or so. So that's taught me a few lessons.
Yep.
Yeah, well, can I ask, just for within those mental times, what did you find was like one of the driving factors in kind of getting you above or bringing you back to life a bit, if you know what I mean? Just like, obviously, no one wants to tear their ACL, and you've done an amazing job coming back and going well in the Storm side, especially injury after injury. What do you find that brings you back, every single time that you come back on the field playing?
Yeah, there's probably two things that I've found really beneficial to me is having an interest outside of rugby league. And, I've done a commerce degree and I've started my MBA and got a real passion for life after footy. And I think that's really helped me. I think, you look at the metaphor of, if you invest all your money in one stock, there's a lot of things that can happen to that outside of your control, whether that stock goes well or goes poorly. Whereas if, you have a diversified portfolio, you have a portfolio of 5 to 10 different shares, it evens out the gains and losses and provides a much smoother return. So that's the way I look at it, is having interest outside of rugby league, and then also having perspective. I do a fair bit of work with Camp Quality, and they're a fantastic charity that help young kids and families with cancer diagnosis. So originally when I did it, I went into the surgeon at the hospital in Melbourne and was kicking stones and thinking, how bad have I got it? Look at me, I've done my knee, I'm going to be out for 9 months. And
yeah, I can relate to you, Welch, because I only did my knee probably 9-10 months ago, and it's not a great time, because for me, just having my leg up for 6 weeks, I've always used sport and going to the gym as a way of exerting my negative energy, and not having the ability to be able to do that, and having your mind, the voice in your head play with you, so regularly for the next 6 weeks is a difficult thing to do. But I think, like you said, if you find an external hobby, and I guess forget the fact that you can't, for your instance, play professional rugby at the time, if you can find something else to buy the time and get enjoyment out of it, I feel like that's the best way of overcoming a situation like that.
Yeah, and I think it's been really, I suppose, powerful in understanding my issues relative to what lots of other people are going through. Whether it's lifelong illnesses or permanent disabilities. Doing your knee's not great, but it's not the end of the world, and I'm in a pretty privileged position. Right. So I try to keep it really positive and have perspective on my issues. That's really helped.
And it's really nice to see that you got those things beyond footy, and you're really passionate about obviously business, and the fact you're interacting with charities and camps, and I guess it really does bring a lot of a lot of love for obviously, as much as you love footy, there's so many other things out there in life, and I think it's taking a step back and appreciating it all is one of those things that we can just really bring out the best. And I can definitely relate to that in a sense, for sure.
And if I can have any advice for the people listening, is go out and volunteer and go sign up to a charity or your local community. I know when I was doing training at Camp Quality, you got to go through because you're working with children, you got to do a bit of a introduction, and existing volunteers were kind of saying, you'll do your first camp for the kids, and then you'll do every other camp for yourself. And that's really resonated with me, because you feel so good giving up your time, helping young people out, doing it tough, putting a smile on their face. It's really, you get so much out of it. It's not just for those kids, but in itself, it really, really makes a big difference on your mental well-being. And so couldn't recommend it more. And it doesn't have to be, dealing with sick kids at hospitals. It can be down to your local sporting club, volunteering, schools or anything. Basically, it's so rewarding and positive for your life.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because that's sort of like why myself and Michael had come up with this mental health podcast to start off with, because both myself and Mike had gone through a purple patch where we were, deep down in the tunnel. We didn't know if we could find that light at the end of the tunnel. But fortunately enough, we did. And we wanted to help others that were going through certain similar situations as we had been faced with in the past. And after we made our first episode, it was amazing how many people opened up to us and said that, look, what you guys are doing is fantastic. It's great to see someone of our age demographic finally doing something and sharing their own story of struggle. And that's all we wanted to hear. The fact that we might be able to help at least one person get through something tough is so rewarding, and it feels good within yourself as well.
Yeah, and just turning your negative experiences into something positive, I guess, is the main thing out of this. And obviously, if we have to hit rock bottom to help other people, then so be it. And I think, 100%. That's why we started this, is just to try and make a positive impact, especially with people our age, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I try and reach out to other people who've kind of big injuries like ACLs, whether they're in my club or across the NRL. And one of the main things I emphasize is it's okay to feel like shit. It's okay to be feeling terrible about your injury. That's completely human, and I think it's natural. It's okay to feel bad, and don't try and put up I'm all right, it's all good, it's all roses, because at times it's not. You're gonna feel terrible, but the important thing is acknowledging that, how you're feeling, but keeping communication with your close friends and inner circle, and being honest with them and in how you're traveling, and going, look, I'm not traveling well. I'm actually struggling a bit. I think being honest and communicating that, and I think that's a big step forward for mental well-being.
So in terms of your ACL injury, when you were fully recovered and you played your first game back at Storm, what got you back into form? Like, what got you back into a mindset of, I can play. I do. I should be a part of this. Starting team. Yeah,
look, it's I've actually just re-signed, but
awesome.
I was off contract, so I must stay at Storm for another 2 years. But mate, trust me, like I've been fighting some mental demons every week that I strap on the boots, and because you just don't know like how that game's going to go, whether you're going to get injured again, and particularly being off contract, it's kind of been stalking me a bit, that real mental strain about security and what my plans are for next season. So, I've struggled. I've seen we've got a club psychologist, a sports psychologist who I stay in touch with, and people I'm close with, my parents, and keeping that dialogue and being honest about, it hasn't just been a return to NRL and play great. It's actually been mentally really hard for me each week to play, knowing that, I could do my ACL again. So I think
that's it.
The way I've approached it is just being, I just think being grateful. I'm at a great club. I'm back playing NRL. Don't look too far ahead for me. For me, it's been savor the moment, savor the really great wins with your teammates, stay in the sheds, have some beers, and that's how I've been taking it really slowly and not trying to look too far ahead, because it happened last year. I was actually close to leaving the club. I had a really good offer that was going to set me up really well, and I was probably 4 days off signing, and I was going to leave the club on a nice 3-year deal, and then I'd be in my ACL in Brisbane, 4 days, and that just shut all the deals off. And I was lucky I had an option to stay at the Storm, but they really rocked me. And I suppose thinking that the same thing would happen this year has been mentally pretty tough on me and weighing me down. So it's been really relieving to get that deal done, I suppose, last week or so.
How have you found, I guess, social media? Do you think that social media has had a pretty bad impact on your mental health, especially when you did go through such an injury?
Like when I go through the injury, you get a lot of positive feedback. There's a lot of love out there, and I think social media is a really tough one, because you can achieve some really amazing things. I know we there's some sick kids we've organised tickets and hotels, all just through the power of Twitter, and there's some really good things about it, and then there's obviously some bad things. And not necessarily when I did my knees, but playing in the 2016 grand final, I gave away a penalty and they scored a try. You get some pretty nasty comments, and
I could imagine.
It's it's pretty confronting, to be honest, and it does chip away to you, because you are human. You're naturally curious. They say, "Oh, well, I just don't have social media," but it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's not that easy just to switch off and disengage. So I think the important thing is understanding where you want to get your feedback from. Your close inner circle, your family, your coaches, and it works both ways. You got to try and block out. You might be having a great couple of weeks, and you might be getting all this feedback saying, "Oh, you're playing great, you're doing this and that." I think you just need to temper that, whether it's positive or negative, and
that's exactly
focus
right.
on the people, the feedback you really count on.
Yep.
Like choose who you listen to instead of taking in any negative energy from randoms in the public, from comments. I know, I guess that would be something that you'd have to do. Hey, just ignore the random people and just really only listen to the people who are obviously worth your time and you have close family and friends. Yeah. So awesome. Well, yeah.
Well, just speak on that topic. We played Manly on the weekend, and there was a Facebook post from a Manly Seagulls fan who said, I'll pay $500 and give a carton of Jack Daniels to anyone that can flog Josh Adokar up and fracture his eye socket. You get him in the street and video that, and I'll pay you money for it. And the club's been great, mate. Our football manager come in, our coach said, we're not taking any of this shit. We're going to send it straight to the NRL Integrity Unit. Apparently he's a member of the club, and they're going to work really hard to get him kicked out of, I suppose, attending NRL matches. But, mate, there's plenty of hate out there. It's just a small example of, I suppose, the abuse you get. And I think it's such an emotional game, but at the end of the day, it's a game of rugby.
Just a game of sport, hey?
Yeah, it's a sport.
Bigger things in life.
That's right.
Just one quick question before we wrap it up. Maybe a lasting message that you might want to leave the viewers in relation to if you were going through something where, for your instance, in regards to expectation, if you fall out of form, or maybe, say for your instance, you're falling out of form and trying to find that form or trying to find the motivation to achieve something that you're wanting to achieve, but you're lacking that motivation. How do you regain the motivation to get back up and on your 2 feet and keep moving forward?
Yeah, it's hard. I think I'm really hardworking, and I think the way you get out of a rut, particularly in our game, is you go and work on your craft and work on your game. And I suppose work ethic, that's the biggest thing at the Melbourne Storm. But yeah, some tips, that I find really beneficial is when you're meeting with someone, don't put your phone away. Don't, leave it in the room. If you're sitting down with someone, because the way I look at, the person, and if you're looking at your phone instead of talking to them, it's showing disrespect to them, and it actually limits the depth of the conversation. You don't get to dive down and actually hear what someone wants to tell you, and you kind of stay at that surface level. Whereas if you care about someone and you want to have a genuine chat about how they're actually traveling, how they're emotionally traveling, their mental well-being, put the phone away, text your mates, check in on them, I think that's really important.
Awesome. Well, Cody?
Thank you so much for joining us today, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Welch.
Probably got a busy week and you're ready to train ahead for the next game, hey?
Yeah, no worries. It's been really good talking about it. And
good question. Who do you think will be the next Brisbane Broncos coach?
It's got to be Kevin Welch. I'm pretty sure he's got it, but I think they've got to, because they had the fake interviews last time where Seeps was guaranteed the job and they made Kevy do it all. So I think they've got to see to be going through due process this time. So I think Kevy will get it, but
time will tell.
Yeah, they got some issues there, but they'll get sorted. They're too big of a club to be down the ladder for too long.
Yeah, they'll be back up before you know it.
Yeah.
All righty. Yeah, thank you so much again, man. I wish you all
the
best
easy, fellas.
Game, all right, and have a good one, eh?
Hey, thanks very much.
Really appreciate it, man.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, fellas. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been episode 6. And the topic we were going through is expectation, and it's been a fantastic episode. And I think both myself, Cody, and Welch, who's just left us, I think we've done a fantastic job today. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this, please view it, comment, share it, do whatever you like to do. But awesome. Have a fantastic weekend. And as always, message us if you need anything. Fantastic.
Hey, thanks.
Right.
Keep well. Thank you.